going on, fans?
We're in the month of December.
I hate starting it off. I never know what to say. Hey!
Yeah, this is the last time that we're going to let Lucas decide what to say leading off the episode. December 7th.
It's December 7th. Merry Christmas,
This is
everybody.
an odd Saturday podcast.
It is.
Our schedules are all thrown off because we're in exams. I had an exam today. Lucas has his coming up next week.
We love it.
But we're making time. Another short episode tonight.
Let's talk about sports. Let's just talk about sports.
Yeah, getting right into it. Let's talk about the New York Knicks.
Bang! News comes out. David Fizdale, coach of the New York Knicks, has been fired after 8 straight losses, including 129-92 loss to Denver on Thursday. And they're the worst in the Eastern Conference, 4-18, which is tied for the worst start in franchise history. Luke, what are we thinking here? I mean, basically, today Steve Kerr spoke out, as well as Spurs head coach Pop, basically saying he's gotten thrown under the bus. It's a terrible organization, and he's just paying the price by getting fired for it. What are you thinking here? What's coming up?
I think it's harsh. Obviously, you look at the Toronto Maple Leafs firing Babcock. I felt the same way when they fired him, let him go. I think they didn't really give him time to really come to fruition and give him a fair chance to kind of turn a season around. But I can see the other side of it. Obviously, the Knicks have been kind of the laughingstock of the NBA for the last hefty amount of time. Couple seasons at least.
Yeah, I mean, even since since Fizz has been there, he's 21-83 in less than 2 seasons, right?
Yeah,
that's like .202 winning percentage.
And I see how you have a franchise that plays out of Madison Square Garden.
Yeah,
and
it's one of the centers of the basketball universe.
Yeah, you want to make sure that you have sold out crowds every night and that they're excited and into the game and expecting their team to win. It's tough though, especially because they're still in the early stages of a team that has potential prospects and young players on their roster that are very good.
Yeah, of course. Obviously, RJ Barrett is showing out.
Yeah. And
he's having a pretty good season. They're around 3rd in the Rookie of the Year rankings. And it's pretty crazy because the Knicks have had 12 head coaches since 1999-2000, which was James Dolan, his first season. So, as the owner. So, since then, they've had 12. That's pretty crazy. Memphis, Phoenix, and Detroit they're tied with them. And you know how those programs are doing. It's just great. I understand that there's pressure because you're in New York, and it's just like Babcock with being in Toronto. It's like the center of hockey in Canada, and they have a reputation, and they've been bad for so long, and people are getting impatient and whatever, and the Knicks have been poor for a while now, so I get that. But at the same time, he's had less than 2 seasons, and you need organizational support on top of that. Like, they drafted well, but you need more than that, and this team is still not that close to being competitive, obviously, as you can see with their record being where it is. But
it's tough, and the fact that he got fired, some could argue this is early in the season. The fact that he got fired, it's kind of similar to a player not having backing from his coaches.
Yeah.
A coach not having backing from the upper management. Yeah, it's a tough pill to swallow, but it's something that you can't really undo. It's something that won't really be undone.
This will be the 7th straight season they don't make the playoffs.
Yeah,
but you're going to get a new coach in there at some point. I just
hope that,
and the same thing's going to happen for a while until the organization figures it out. There's only so much a coach can do with poor players.
I just hope that there's not this reoccurring feedback loop for the Knicks that, they get a coach, they give him 100 games.
Yeah.
If he's still crap, they fire him and hope
someone
they need. Obviously, there's a lot of hope with the young talent that they have, but you see a league right now that's heavily dominated by veteran all-stars.
Right.
You have your younger players who are making names for themselves, but you need to give time for these young all-stars to get experience and to sort of make a name for the Knicks.
Look at how long it took the Raptors to get to the point they are.
Oh, they were a joke.
They were terrible.
Yeah,
They were awful.
I remember
back
watching
in the days
them.
with Rudy Gay there, and Rudy Gay was like the guy, and then they trade him, and we're like, what's going on?
Yeah.
And then they start getting good. Like, that took a while, and they didn't just let Dwayne Casey go after 100 games.
No,
right?
they stuck with
Ujiri
it
kept his vision, and they just built a team, and they drafted very well and acquired players that were organization wise, they were like really impressive, because Siakam's turning out to be just the ultimate diamond in the rough, and Freddie VanVleet was undrafted. So that's what you need. Like, the Knicks should take after. And then there's all those reports coming out that the Knicks were interested in Masai Ujiri. I'd say so, considering they just keep letting coaches go and they don't actually know how to build an organization. Doesn't look like Knicks fans have anything to celebrate anytime soon, other than the excitement of watching RJ Barrett, I guess. Right? I mean, could be a while. It could take a while for them
100%.
to get back
And that's inevitable. I think there's definitely going to be a long waiting period to see who the right coach is for the New York Knicks. They're in shambles right now. You can't really deny that.
Yeah.
It's been a long time since that franchise has been solid all around. For the sake of New York and for the sake of how reputable the city itself is, you don't want to see any poor franchise for a long period of time in New York. So I'm sure it'll turn around eventually. It's just a matter of when.
It has to. Yeah, we'll figure it out. They'll figure it out. I don't really care. As long as the Raptors keep doing well.
Yeah, the Raptors
I can sleep easy.
Still doing okay.
No, the Knicks suck.
Still doing okay. You see.
Yeah.
They lost the Rockets.
Back-to-back losses.
But you look at the Rockets, there's a lot of skepticism. Maybe they overemphasize defending James Harden.
All Harden, yep, exactly. But it's tough to, I don't know. There's a lot of hot takes coming out of back-to-back losses. Not enough people are focusing on the fact that they also completely shut down the likes of Damian Lillard, Kawhi Leonard, LeBron James. James Harden has dropped 60 on several teams this year and has just been dominant. So, can you say you overguarded him? Maybe, because the rest of the team can still shoot, but it's tough because he is such a dominant player. He almost does need to be double-teamed every time he has the ball.
100%.
But when you've got Russell Westbrook on the team and Eric Gordon and other guys that can really shoot the ball well, and Clint Capella who's grabbing every rebound under the sun, then it's like...
Yeah, the Rockets are good. And the fact that a young Raptors team who's challenged by injury right now, that don't have a full healthy roster, the fact that they're able to stay within 10 points, early season, man.
Yeah, it's early season, and Kyle Lowry still has to get back into the swing of things. Yeah, tough 100%. Loss against the Heat before that, and he didn't shoot well. But
if you're coming off
for
a
the
broken
long
hand,
term,
if you're a hand that doesn't function,
long term you have to get him situated back in the lineup. But it's just like, obviously, all those Twitter haters are going to be like, you should have just kept playing Fred VanVleet. Well, yeah, but at some point you're going to need your leader back in there.
Yeah,
sucks, but
he's been there for a while.
Yeah, you need to get him back in there. He's everybody. There's no doubt about it that he's very valuable to the team still, and he was such a huge part of winning the championship last year. But it's like, when the team's on such a roll without a player, then the question comes in: do we bring him in right away? And the answer's always got to be yes.
Yeah.
Just because even if he comes in and plays poorly for a couple of games, long run.
What are you going to do? Bench him the rest of the season and hope that you keep the success?
Yeah, because that's not going to happen.
No,
that's not going to happen. That's ridiculous.
Anyways, moving on. More Toronto teams. Swinging over to... before we get to hockey, let's talk about the Timberwolves Thunder.
Oh, man. Wow,
what an ending. What was that? Friday night?
Wow. What a game.
For those of you who see the stat line, just see the box score that OKC wins by 12 in overtime, you missed a lot.
I've never seen anything like this. 1.1 seconds left in regulation. Essentially... It's 121-119 for the Timberwolves. Cat is shooting. Karl Anthony Towns shooting a free throw. And Jordan Bell checks in. And there had already been a delay of game warning earlier on for the Timberwolves. And CP3, Chris Paul, sees that Jordan Bell's got his shirt untucked. So he goes over to referee Scott Foster. He goes, hey, he's got his shirt untucked. And basically convinced him to give him a technical foul for delay of game. So that's 121-119. Danilo Gallinari bangs the free throw, making it 121-120.
So Timberwolves up by one. They still have one free throw.
Good clarification. They still have one free throw left. They're up by one. All Cat has to do is miss the free throw.
And hope that they don't somehow in 1.1 seconds get the defensive board and score a Hail Mary.
Yeah, by the time they bring the rebound down, the game's over. But he bangs it off of a bounce off the front rim, off the backboard in. And Steven Adams, the QB, takes it out and throws a Hail Mary pass to Dennis Schroeder.
OKC is down by 2.
Oh,
1.1 seconds on the clock. A Hail Mary. Dennis Schroeder catches it just in the paint.
Off the bank.
Puts it in.
122.
They go to overtime, and OKC handles them in overtime, beats them by 12.
Never seen anything like that.
Crazy turn of
they were
events.
talking to Chris Paul after the game. They're like, hey, man, what was going on there? What was your thought process? Like, 1.1 seconds in the game, why are you worried about people's shirts being untucked? He basically said it happens a lot. And you know what? Sometimes the refs are like, whatever, but that is the rule. And, I mean, kudos to him for finding a way to win. I'm a big advocate of, like, find a way to win.
And rules are in the rule book because they're rules.
Yeah.
It's not like I hate people who are he's just finding a cheap way to win. That's not a cheap way to win. What's the point of the rules?
That's brilliant. It's a brilliant.
It's someone who's doing what it takes to take his team to the next level.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of criticism after Westbrook leaves the Thunder. Yeah. Are the Thunder going to even be in contention? Are they going to be a name come May, June?
They're not terrible.
They're not bad, but you have someone like that who's always thinking about how am I going to get my team to win.
Absolutely. That's a leader. And 30.7 assists last night. That's incredible. Good for him. And
I love it.
I love that. That's just forward thinking. So good for him.
Yeah. Anyways, glad that caught my mind before we moved on to hockey.
Yeah, I know. Me too. I was going to say.
But moving on to another Toronto team, we always talk a little bit about the Leafs. Lots going on. It's a big labyrinth in Toronto right now.
It is.
Let's talk about the differences now that we've seen more than a couple game sample size with Babcock gone. The Leafs, are they starting to come into their element? Do they start to look a little bit more composed, playing a bit more mature, or what?
Too soon to say. Like, we saw them get 2 road wins right away under Sheldon Keefe. Everybody's excited about it.
Obviously.
But that's the honeymoon phase. And then they got a nice dose of reality against the Flyers and got absolutely cranked. The boys gave up. They admitted that they gave up. And then they play a very good Colorado team who they had beaten under Sheldon Keefe 2 weeks before. But then they lost 3-1, and they didn't look great there either. But there are a lot of differences. Babcock obviously was playing north-south brand of hockey, just going very direct, and Sheldon Keefe's really kind of given the green light to hold it for a second longer and to do an extra deke and to play really possessive, which can be dangerous, right? Because it's, when you're trying to play that possession, there could be a lot more turnovers. But
that's where the saying "all Swedish, no finish" comes from. The Swedes play a very assist-based game, whereas the Finns usually always go right at it stereotypically. Right. And I think with the Maple Leafs, they have enough talent.
They do.
They have enough talent to play this possession game. They have. It's just whether this talent can lead to a possession-based game that they're smart about, and they're making smart decisions, and they're not trying to force the extra pass. Like, they're good enough if they have an opportunity to just like we said already, shoot.
Absolutely. And you can't deny that progress is being made. Tyson Barrie is finally coming into his element. He scored several goals in his first couple games. I think it was 3 goals in 3 games as soon as Sheldon Keefe got ahead there. So that's huge. And then Toronto scored 37% of first period goals over 23 games with Babcock and surrendered the first goal 18 times. But with Keefe, they're not sluggish to begin the game. They're scoring 90% of first period goals through 7 games, and they've surrendered the first goal just 3 times. So, it's going to take a while. It's early. It is still kind of the honeymoon phase, but it's good that they got hammered by Philadelphia, so they can still work on that. And finally, Marner's coming back too, and they're pairing him with Matthews. So, there's definitely a lot to be excited about.
I think it's good for the young players on the team. It's the whole rejig of the Maple Leafs organization is a wake-up call for them.
Right.
They understand that things just aren't going to naturally fall into place. There still needs to be work by every single player who's on the ice.
Yeah.
So, obviously, the last 10, the Leafs are 4-6. That's not great. They've lost 2 in a row, as we said. But still, they have 52 games to work on this.
They got lots of time.
A ton of time. They're not...
They're still around 500 come
They're not too far out of
February. You're starting to get a little bit more concerned, probably.
100%. They still got lots of time.
But they've got around 3 giveaways less per game so far. Smaller sample size, obviously.
Yeah.
But it's definitely a different style of hockey that Sheldon Keefe is, and maybe it's a refresher that they needed.
Yeah, I think especially now they have their set leader in John Tavares.
Yeah.
You know, these other years they were trying to make playoff runs without having a captain.
Yeah.
How hard is that?
Yeah. And they had there was a video circulating on social media and it was like John Tavares' first post-game speech since Sheldon Keefe was in there, and people are saying he doesn't have energy, and he was just basically pouring his heart out in the locker room. He's like, let's go each game, let's get better, that's big energy, like let's effing go, pretty much.
Yeah.
And you love to see that. You need somebody that's not quiet in the locker room. You need
100%. He leads by example, but he also just doesn't leave it to his actions. There has to be some sort of vocal aspect from a leader in the NHL, and John Tavares, I think he's the right man for the job for the Maple Leafs.
No doubt about it.
So
it'll be interesting to see how that goes. But other than that, what are we looking at in the NHL for, 30 games in? Who's deadly? Other than the Bruins, because the Bruins are ridiculous.
I was going to say, as far as Leafs fans go, and even Canucks fans, we hate the Bruins because the closest we ever got to winning a cup was at the expense of the
Cue the riot.
Boston Bruins.
Cue
flipping
the
cop cars.
riot.
What a fun party after, though.
Right. Yeah.
Anyways, the
I wish I
Bruins
was there.
in the last 10 games, the Bruins have 18 points.
Yeah.
That's nuts. They're on pace to get 120 plus points this season.
In the Atlantic Division, the Canadians are second after the Bruins, but the goal differential is 40. It's 40 difference. It's plus 35 for the Bruins, minus 5 for the Canadians. Are you serious?
There is 14 points in the standings.
Oh,
and the Canadians have played
days.
one more game.
Oh my good God. That team's ridiculous. And
it pisses me off.
And it could be the worst team to be good. You know what? If the Panthers were amazing, which by the way they're not having a bad season at all. If the Panthers were incredible, I'd be like, yeah, all right. Or the Blue Jackets or the Hurricanes, but it's got to be the Bruins.
Yeah. Actually.
Capitals, obviously 22-4-5. They're 49 points as well, so they're right up there.
Dangerous. Last 10 games they have 17 points out of a possible 20.
Bruins have 2 games in hand on them, but obviously both of those are going to be title contenders come
it just floors me, man.
time.
Like the Bruins have lost in regulation 3 times. The Capitals 4. It's so frustrating. Watching back in October or something, I watched the Canucks play the Capitals.
Yeah.
And they're up by 5 goals in the third period. And they lost by 1 in extra time.
Yeah.
Like, it's just like, that's not a game that you should lose.
Yeah.
But, one of the things that I want to draw attention to, do you think that Ovi is kind of trying to prove to people that it wasn't just a one-off season that he won the cup? Like, obviously he wants another cup.
Without a doubt.
They're
on pace.
A lot of people say that last season was sort of his hangover.
Right.
He's kind of living in the past. He's like, well, I won the cup. But I think he's kind of starting to realize that in order to be recognized as the greatest, which he wants to be.
Right.
It can't
not
just
terribly
be...
far off.
No. He's not far off, but he's not a shoo-in.
No.
But in order for him to get there, and the drive of him is to get there, whether that happens or not, he needs to win multiple cups. And I think he's starting to realize that. You already see the gray in his beard. He's on the downhill in terms of age. Yeah. But
they'll be in the discussion come postseason.
Easily.
Look at them already.
I like the Eastern Conference, as much as we hate to see it, dominated by the Bruins and the Capitals.
Yeah.
What about the Western Conference?
The Oilers are at the top of the Pacific Division. You could argue the Pacific Division isn't fantastic.
It's not great.
It's not great. They're 18-10-3. 39 points through 31 games. It's not. I mean, it's just a weaker division, but you do like to see the Oilers doing well, obviously. And then on the Central Division, the Blues. But the Avalanche have 2 games in hand and are only 4 points behind.
Which the Blues, I like that because how often is it that you see a team win the Stanley Cup and then get a slow start to the season? You saw it a lot with the LA Kings.
Yep.
The LA Kings were usually they would win the Cup. Take a little while to get back into it.
It'll be interesting. And the Avalanche are having a fantastic season. I like the Avalanche. But you know how hard it is for the Blues for any team to defend
basically impossible.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah. So. And then you
be great to see that.
One team that I kind of want to draw attention to is the Calgary Flames.
Right.
Because there was a lot of speculation they had a team built to maybe even win the Pacific Division.
Yes.
A lot of young guns who have lots of energy who can carry them through an 82 game grueling schedule.
Yep.
The Oilers, obviously, they're at the top right now, and it is kind of nice for Oilers fans. We've touched on it a little bit before, previous episodes.
Yeah.
But it is nice to see them at the top, especially after you've had draft pick after draft pick.
Absolutely.
So it's kind of cool to see the Oilers at the top of the
Speaking
table.
of letdowns, the Lightning are still 13-10-3. It is still early, but it's like, wow, that team was so exciting at the start of the season. I don't think a single analyst had them outside the top 3 for the power rankings. Like, that's
100%.
crazy.
And everyone thought that they were
Big
destined to
letdown
win
in the
2 years
Leafs.
ago.
Yep.
They lost a heartbreaker in the Eastern Conference playoffs.
Yeah.
Um,
I wonder if this crop of Lightning talent will ever get their cup, because God knows they deserve it. But
yeah, you see the Eastern Conference, and you see 2 clear frontrunners in Boston and in Washington.
Yeah.
In the Western Conference, it's not as clear cut, and I don't see it really gapping it at all. Do you think the Western Conference come down to the Stanley Cup Finals? The winner of the Western Conference, do you think they'll compete with the winner of the Eastern Conference?
No. Honestly, like, that's a hot take, and everything's different in postseason.
100%.
But the Eastern Conference is so dominant. Like, it could very well come down to the Bruins and the Capitals, and the winner of that game, God, that could go to 7 games, and I just can't see the loser of that losing to a young, inexperienced Avalanche team, for instance, or the Blues, who are trying to defend back-to-back, or the Oilers, who, even though they're top of the division, are...
Connor McDavid has had very minimal playoff experience.
Yeah, so, like, I don't know. It's too early to say, but it's just like...
I agree with you.
It sucks.
Obviously that's a very bold
It's hilarious
statement,
looking at the Atlantic Division with the Bruins just dynamite, and then everybody else is around 500. Like, the Leafs are at 30 points, and the Canadians are at 32. And
but the Metropolitan Division
them.
is mean.
For sure.
You look at, they have 6 teams above 500.
Yeah, they do. The Islanders are nasty. Which
Yeah,
John
good.
Tavares has got to be like, oh my God, what?
Like
for John Tavares' self-respect, he's got to finish higher. Because the Islanders have been slapping the Leafs around since he switched. Like, oh man, he gets all the grief from the fans. And so, like, oh my God, like, I would be like, holy smokes. I don't know. We'll have to see.
It's fun stuff.
We'll move on.
Of course, we're going to end with our favorite sport.
Surprise.
Unpopular opinion to others, but for us,
The
we
UFC.
love WWE, man. We love the fake acting crap.
No, it's not.
No, NCAA basketball, of course. It's been almost a week and a half since we've recorded.
What's happened since
There's
then?
been a lot of notable games. We'll run through them, then kind of dissect them. Biggest notable games: Duke loses to Stephen F. Austin at home. First time in
Buzzer beating,
150
overtime, layup.
home games. There's a funny, ironic tweet from Duke Blue Devils Barstool Sports that said, "We've won 150 straight non-conference games
It's
like
gonna-
a team named Stephen F. Austin."
Oh,
is
that
now.
tweet might have done them in. That could have
And,
been the tweet.
Yeah, hilarious. I'm a huge Duke fan. I love Duke, but like that's just karma.
Man,
I haven't seen
hate
anything
those
more-
Barstool accounts so much because they are so cocky before the game.
Oh, hypocritical.
And you know it's just going to bounce back. Like,
Yeah. And
I'm a UNC fan. I follow the UNC Barstool account. And they'll tweet something out at the other team. They'll, like, tag them. And they'll be like, wow, you guys don't even need to bother showing up tonight. I'm like, man, we're going to lose now. What are you doing? Oh, my
But
God.
yeah, so Duke, big losses. Duke loses to SFA. MSU loses to Duke and Virginia Tech. UNC
Duke
loses to
bounces
Michigan
back, and with 2 big wins.
against Michigan State and Virginia. Just a love triangle going on there.
Big love triangle.
Duke, MSU, VT, all 3 of them played the other 2 teams.
Yeah.
Virginia Tech goes 1-1. MSU 0-2. Duke goes 2-0.
Ohio State's still ridiculously hot.
Ohio State waltzes in to Chapel Hill.
They
I'm
dance
sorry,
out of there.
Lucas.
That's
And
whatever.
they absolutely rocked that. There were people
25 points, yeah.
6 minutes left. There were people leaving the Dean Dome
You don't see that
at
often.
UNC, and that doesn't happen. And you know what I love? Okay, as much as I hate UNC,
Right.
I don't hate them, but as much as I don't like them, at the end of the game, I was watching the post-game press conference with Roy Williams.
Yeah.
And what does he say? He says, UNC's coach was an embarrassment to the program tonight. He didn't say anything about the players. Everything comes back on himself because he knows he has a bunch of 18-year-old, 19-year-old kids that he's trying to rely on. I love that accountability.
That's leadership by serving.
And
That's quality.
regardless of whether that's validated or not, that's the type of mental toughness that a coach needs to bear because they can afford to bear it. But he said, I didn't do enough for the UNC student body, the fan base. He said, with 6 minutes left, there should never be people leaving our stadium.
They got a lot of work to do.
So
Armando Baycott got hurt. That's not good.
Yeah, not great.
Sprained ankle.
But with his coaching, I'm not too worried for UNC. They're going to be there down the stretch. They're going to be there.
Big game against Virginia tomorrow.
Big game. Yeah, true. Very true.
We can bounce back. If not, we could be top 15 now.
How about Michigan? Michigan, they go in. Yeah, they have an incredible run. Who do they beat? Gonzaga and UNC.
Yes, and they slapped them both, and they're both top 10 schools.
And so Michigan's unranked. They win the battle for Atlantis.
Yeah, not an easy tournament.
And then they go from unranked to ranked 4 in the nation.
A bit of a jump.
A little bit. And then they go on the road in the ACC Big Ten Challenge, waltz to Louisville, and get thumped. They shot 26%.
Louisville's the real
from
deal.
the field. Louisville's defense, impeccable.
That's a scary
They
team.
can score.
I'm going to make a hot take right now. The team cutting down the nets come April.
Louisville.
Well, I don't want to say that yet. But is going to be a school that has not been in the Final Four in the last 5 years.
True.
Because, look at this. Louisville is always a good program, but they're never deep. They haven't been, not never deep, but they haven't been deep into March and April in a long time. And look at Ohio State, though. That team is scary.
Yeah.
That team is scary. They absolutely cranked Penn State today. Holy smokes.
They're a very good team. The thing that, Louisville's coach. They have a new coach, second season, Chris Mack, was at Xavier. Always had respectable teams at Xavier.
Yep.
Never had the most talent, but would always be around a 2 or 3 seed.
They were always in there.
They wouldn't make it deep in the playoffs. Now you look at a team, the players that Chris Mack has at Louisville and the defense that they can play with the scoring ability, they're dangerous. Because you look at teams that Tony Bennett has at Virginia, and they always play very good defense. They played against Purdue in the ACC Big Ten Challenge, and they put up 40 points.
Yeah.
If you're putting up 40 points, I don't care how good your defense is. You're not winning 8 games straight, down the stretch in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Whatever it takes, 7 games to win the national championship.
64, 32, 8, 4.
16. You forgot 16, man.
Did I? Can we edit that out after this? No, it's fine.
No, we're leaving that in. Laurier Golden Hawks,
I hope
everybody.
nobody heard that.
He
Hopefully
can't
you've
divide
tuned
by
out.
2.
This is minute 35 or something like that. What is it?
29. I don't
29.
know. I don't
Okay,
see
so
the
hopefully
minute
you've
count.
tuned out.
Yeah. Hopefully your phone's already died by this point. Your beats have run out of battery life.
Point is,
you need to win a lot of games straight. And if you're only scoring 40 points a game against an average Big Ten
unranked
team,
Boilermakers, they've been so much better last year. They were 10 times better with Carson Edwards. They're
100%.
And Virginia, who has looked dominant in defense all year, got smacked. They got smacked.
Yeah. And the thing is, it's not every game that you're going to be able to answer good offense with good defense. You need to have an offensive. But when you have Diakite as your go-to guy who can't shoot a shot past the elbow, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I think Virginia, even if they do well, if they stay in the top 10, they get a 1, 2, or 3 seed going into the tournament.
Yeah.
I think that I wouldn't be surprised if they were the first 1 or 2 or 3 seed to be bounced in the first weekend.
Yeah, it's a shell of the Virginias we've seen in former years, and I'm okay with it because it makes the ACC a little bit more open. But Louisville has got that lockdown right now too.
If you're to pick an ACC winner right now, it's got to be Louisville.
It's got to be Louisville. You can't even think. I mean, Duke's obviously going to be very good, and hopefully UNC can figure their things out. But right now, it's Louisville 1, Duke 2.
Same thing with the Big Ten. I love the look of Ohio State.
You can't they're just so dominant.
They're free shooting.
Oh my!
They're smart.
God.
They're intense on
and
defense.
They're so exciting. I would hate to go to the Ohio State University and play against that team right now.
Yeah.
Oh, that whole school is behind the basketball and football team, both top 5 in the nation after this week for sure. After what they just did to UNC.
Yeah, you have a team that's about to compete in the college football playoffs for a national championship.
Ridiculous.
And then, come 3 months, they might be in the Final Four.
Knock on wood.
Competing to cut down the nets.
That's crazy. One of my friends goes to Ohio State University. So
I have a buddy on the
Bailey,
baseball.
if you're listening to this, I'm so mad at you.
I have a buddy on the baseball team who is obnoxious on social media, posts all over social media about Ohio State. And Keegan, man, as annoying as you are, I got to give it to you. Your school's, it's good. It's good at football and basketball.
Fair enough.
I wish you all the best. But if Duke plays Ohio State, you better bet.
Anyways, lots of college basketball coming up in the coming weeks. We're starting to get closer to conference play, obviously. Some teams have already kicked that off here and there with single games and whatever, so we'll have to see how it
But for
goes.
most teams, another 1 or 2 out of conference games, and that's into conference play. Bit of a holiday break, Christmas break around the corner.
I think that's all we have to talk about, too. This is
100%.
another short episode.
Another chilly week in Waterloo, and
wherever you are, stay safe out there.
for all those students, study up for exams, get your rest.
Yeah.
Listen to our podcast for a study break.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough couple of weeks, but get home with your family, enjoy your Christmas.
100%.
Are we gonna film again before Christmas? It's tough to say. We might have to play it by ear. I'm not
We'll
sure.
see. We'll try to.
If not, Merry Christmas.
I don't have any more exams before Christmas, so it's really if we don't film or record before Christmas, it's Lucas's fault.
We love you. Merry Christmas. Thanks for tuning in.